Hi, my creative peeps. It's Craftin Just Because with Chris Cowan. And I am here to bring you this cute camera box. And it's featuring the Capture the Good stamp set. And let me just... Sorry about that. I needed to grab my keyboard so that I could type something in here really quick. But this set is $1,000,000 set that Tammy White did, and it's retiring, so she had to make it late, and then now this year it's retiring, so that's the unfortunate part. But I wanted to make a goal this year of making sure that I used every stamp set that I own, and this was one left that I hadn't really focused on, and so this week's projects are featuring this set. So we're going to go ahead and make this cute little camera box. And I'm not going to show you how I'm going to tell you how I did this, but I already put this piece together just because it takes a little bit of time. And so first what you need to start off with is a piece of cardstock, Whisper White, and you could do any size. I did a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And then you're going to want to take, so what I did is I took all 5 colors of the end colors and I cut them in 1/2-inch strips. And then I laid them in my categories, like, you know, the Lovely Lipstick, Grapefruit Grove, Pineapple Punch, Call Me Clover, and Blueberry Bushel. And I just started gluing them down. And what I used, you could use adhesive sheets for that, or you can use this cool multi-purpose liquid glue, and I used the big end, and I literally covered the whole thing in glue using that large end. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna stamp on this piece, and all I did was I used my block and my Memento ink. And so let's get those things out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my camera out. And I like to take my larger images and I like to ink them, put the ink pad just straight down on them. And it also helps if you put the piercing mat, which is also retiring, down if you have a solid image. But because this is just an outline, I won't need to do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and place this down on my paper and make sure I get it all covered so that we just have the outline of the camera, just like that. And then let me clean that off so I don't get ink everywhere. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our paper snips and we're just going to cut this right on off. When you do glue down the strips, you want to make sure that you put something, once it's all covered, put like a heavy book on it so that it really glues nice and dry down on the surface. Because if you're cutting it out or using die cuts to cut images out, you want to make sure that it's completely covered and that they don't fall off. And this one seems to have done the trick, which is nice. This is an easy image to cut out because it's basically just a rectangle. And then we're going to set this aside for a moment. And see, I'll have extra pieces that I can use die cuts on, so I'll make sure I cut that up. But now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring in your Stampin' Trimmer. And you're going to take a piece. I took Lovely Lipstick, which is in the retiring in colors, and one of the pieces that I used. And you're going to want to cut your cardstock to 7.5 inches by 9.5 inches. And on the 7.5 inch side, you want to score it at 2 and then 5.5. So I'm going to put my paper in at 2 and then I'm going to go to 5.5. And then on the 9.5 inch side, you want to score it at 1/2 inch. I'm going to start that and then rotate my paper because it's easier for me, and line my 1/2 inch up on this side, score. Then I'm going to score it at 3, and don't worry about the measurements. I will post those in the comment section below. And then we're going to also score it at 5 and 7.5. So now we're done with our paper trimmer. Now we're going to bring in our bone folder, and we are going to burnish all those score marks. And what this does, you guys have heard me say this before, but if you're new to following me, it breaks down the fibers in the cardstock. So when you're making a box, it makes things nice and crisp. Gives it a crisp, clean edge. Also, when I put the directions below and it leads you to my blog, it will also have a picture of how we will need to cut this piece out so that it makes the box. But what you're going to do is you're going to cut these 2 small rectangle pieces out. So I'm going to just cut up on the score line, and then I'm going to kind of wedge it because that's our tab to glue the box together. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to start down at the bottom pieces. And if you notice, you have 2 larger sections and 2 smaller sections. On the large sections, we're going to wedge a little bit so that we're taking some of the cardstock off. On the smaller sections, you're just cutting up the score line. So I'm going to start with this side, and I'm just going to wedge up to that score line. Do the same thing here. Wedge up to the score line and then cut up the score line. Cut up the score line on this one. And then wedge on this bigger piece. Wedge. And then cut up the score line. Just like that, okay? Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to do a little bit of added detail cutting. So on this first piece, I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch from the score line, just like this, straight across. And it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And then I'm going to cut this little piece off, and I'm going to wedge those little tabs. Next, I'm going to cut this box off, except for I'm going to leave another 1/2 inch tab. So I'm going to cut it up to 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to cut all the way to the next score line. And I'm going to tab him. Just like that. Now I need to make a tab on this side. So I'm going to go up about 1/2 inch to that score line. Cut all the way to the score line. And then cut out. So that's what you're left with. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add tear and tape to the little 1/2 inch piece right there. And you're going to fold this over just like that. I like to take my bone folder and rub it across there. Make sure it's nice and sealed. Okay. Now on this, while we have the box just like this, I'm going to take some black ribbon and put it through the box for our handle. And put it all the way to the edge. And I'm just going to tie a little knot. Okay, just like that. Cut that ribbon off. Then on this side, you're just going to close up the box. You're going to put the tab in and then put the 2 tabs down just like this. Okay, so it closes up the box. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put tear and tape on these 2 edges and on this piece on the top here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in, I'm going to put about 2 strips on each one. Okay, so that's what your tear and tape looks like. You don't need any tear and tape on that one. Then you're going to take your multi-purpose, or your take-a-pick tool. I don't know what I'm saying. And you're going to take the release paper off, and then you're just going to push that down on there. And now we're going to have to go in and use our bone folder and make sure it's nice and stuck down. But for now, that's what we're going to do. Same thing on this side. That down there, and then on this side put down right there. Okay, so now I'm going to open the box up and I'm just going to run my bone folder all the way over there. Now you could shut your box up, fill it with any goodies, candy, gift card, a gift, whatever you choose. Then you're going to take your camera and you're going to glue your camera down right into the center. Just like so. And then we're going to add one little extra, and this is not a Stampin' Up project. We do sometimes carry sequins. I don't have any in these in colors, but I do have a private stash of sequins, and I'm going to put a little sequin there and a little sequin there. So I'm going to go ahead and take 2 of them. Whoops. I've had to record this video a few times, and so I've gotten it right every time when I push those sequins out, except for today, that time. I'm hoping this one will record. Okay, I'm going to just put a little smidge of glue down. I'm going to take my take-a-pick tool and use the bottom end, and I'm going to place my sequin down on that glue dot. Just like that. And then you're done with your box. Pretty cute little treat box there, huh? You could give to any camera lover or anybody like that. But I appreciate you guys joining me today. If you're new to my channel, please push the subscribe button and join the fun that we have together. I'm going to go ahead and snip that a little bit because it seemed to be catching on something. Let's see, what's it catching on? Oh, I wonder if these need to be done. I think these ones need to be done a little bit more. Sometimes you have to go in at a little bit of a harder angle. Let's see here. There you go. Whoops. There we go. So thanks for joining me today, you guys. I look forward to crafting with you again next week. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.